Recently, I worked on AWS CloudWatch Alarms feature that we released internally, which I covered in my last video. Now, since I work at a healthcare company, we then received a critical feature request that directly impacts the internal administration. So the goal is every patient must be contacted at least once a month. This enforces an admin team to now manually edit who was contacted and see whether the patient data was filled correctly. As a senior developer, we proposed an automated triggers-based audit system that gets those patients who weren't contacted or the data is incomplete, helping the administration review accurately, save time, and take action where needed. Now, you might notice that this is an internal feature. Another one, because as a senior developer, I usually handle architecture level and internal system like this, where accuracy are critical. The system needs extra care because they directly impact the operations and audits. That said, I also work on the user products and features. I'll be documenting those as well in my upcoming videos. To the positive side, the first video before was my first long video ever, and I got a really nice response on it. 30 views, I was not even expecting that. So for long form videos like this, I usually post once or twice a week. But for daily updates on what I'm working on and what's coming next, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'll be leaving those in the description. I'll also start featuring random followers and comments from there in these main videos. So if you want your name here, make sure you follow. Talk about the approach. Instead of scanning everything manually, I'm using a scheduled cron jobs, basically an automated task that runs at a specific time, daily or monthly, without manual intervention. A daily cron job reviews the previous day's work of patient records. It checks who was contacted, whether the call duration was valid, and the required information was filled correctly. This gives admin team daily visibility into the issues that needs immediate action. Alongside that, a monthly cron runs month-wise to identify patients who were billed and was never contacted and didn't receive a proper checkup during that month. In this way, the audit happens automatically, consistently, without putting any necessary load on the system. This doesn't seem as basic as it looks. One challenge that I'm facing with this approach is scaling. Even with 10 to 20,000 patients, scanning records daily to check who was contacted, whether the contact was successful, and get all the information that whether it was filled correctly or not, that is really tricky. If you follow a traditional approach, looping through each patient one by one and validating their records, that put a heavy load directly on the database. Every loop means more reads, more processing, more pressure on the system. So this is the limitation I am aware of right now with the current architecture. But yet, we have finalized the first approach to make the system reliable and correct, and optimization will come on later in the next phase once the logic is fully in place. One key trait I want to mention here that differentiate a software engineer is being honest about the system limitations which he has built himself. When designing an architecture, you should already know the problems you'll need to solve later. Even if you don't address them immediately, focus on laying a strong foundation, and optimization later is a really important part of a good software engineer and making a system that is really solid. Now, with that, we've wrapped up the first phase. The architecture is ready, the foundation has been set, the system is now working. Now it's time to take a break. The more I push my mind right now, the less effective it will be. It's about now time to shifting the mindset, stepping away from the screen and relaxing a bit. Later, with a fresh mind, we'll come to optimize and test and verify whether it's been working accurately or not and optimize it so that it runs fast, not slow. You already have guessed it, as I usually like to hop on a bike or just get the fresh air helps clear my mind and I can come back with a fresh perspective. Sometimes I usually go to the mall, just the target is to step away and let my brain relax. In the previous job, my manager taught me a really important lesson. When you are stuck, staring at a problem doesn't help. Sometimes the best approach is to look away for a bit and return with a fresh eyes. I found that to be valuable not only just in coding but in almost every problem. Now I know that the foundation is set, the system is running. I'm taking a break before optimization and testing. I usually keep my laptop with me so if any issue comes up, I'm ready to cater that. But otherwise, it's a chance to relax and do a bit of shopping or maybe just move around a bit. Even if you're working at your office, then divide your work in a small session. Maybe just go out. If you can't, just walk within the office building. Just get your eyes away from the screen and come back to it. It will help your productivity. Today we are back to the coding session again. This is more of a refinement phase than the actual coding session. The system foundation was already set. Now the focus is the optimization and testing. So now when I will be using the ChatGPT, I just make sure to say it not to break the existing system and help me refine it. We're ready to hit our timeline, and this is where I walk now through the cron job. What makes this approach better than the traditional loop-based method is how we have structured the system. First, each check is split into separate repository method that directly handles the database queries. Instead of fetching all the patient data and then filtering it later in the memory in the service method, each repository fetches only the relevant records from the database. This keeps the database load minimal and avoid unnecessary reads and fetching. The next is looping through each patient one by one. For that, we have used promises. This allows all the repository method which we build to run concurrently, processing multiple patients side by side. Each fetch and validation happens simultaneously, which saves a significant amount of time and reduces the risk of timeouts on the large datasets. We have also only fetched patients who were actually contacted the previous day. After that, the first filtered fetch, all the detailed checks like verifying call duration, information is complete, ensuring the doctor was assigned are done on the smaller dataset which we have fetched now. By narrowing down the data early and combining it with concurrent processing, the system becomes more robust, accurate, and the major important thing is scalable. That with that wraps up our feature release. The feature is now ready and goes into the production after this. Now, if you like this and learned something new, make sure you subscribe and follow for more. And comment below. Until then, make sure your status code is 200.